This half hour with breaking news out of Hickory. I'm Kaylin Hagwood. We continue to follow this story where we have learned 12 people were shot at a home during a party. You're taking a live look at Walnut Acres Drive, where police have been investigating this since midnight. Investigators say one person has died, one is in critical condition, and several others have serious injuries and are in the hospital right now. In the last hour, we heard from the Catawba County Sheriff's Department, who described the scope of this investigation.
How expansive is the crime scene? Is it isolated to a house or extends further into the street?
It is in the street and also in the yard inside the house in question, in the backyard, and in the neighboring yard as well.
Well, investigators say more updates will come later today. Want to bring in M. Quentin Williams for his insight on this. He's a former FBI agent not connected to the case. And Quentin, we're still early in this investigation. There he is there. But we do know, again, 12 people were shot at this house party. When you hear the areas that they're investigating right now, what does that tell you about what may have taken place here?
Well, first of all, this is a terrible tragedy. I think what they're doing now, they're concentrating on preserving the crime scene because it was spread out over such a wide scope of the area. I don't know if it was a party that had taken place and this was after the party, but it appears as though there was some gathering and folks were still hanging around, and that this may have occurred late night during or after the party. So preserving the evidence, gathering information from those who were casualties of this. Unfortunately, one person was killed, but fortunately, several people are still have survived. So I'm sure what they're doing is they're trying to figure out how to speak to those who are in the hospital, and there seem to be almost a dozen people in the hospital.
Certainly. And the Sheriff's Department not saying exactly what the ages are or what type of party that was taking place. And maybe with a little bit more context there, we would be able to understand why things were happening so late at night whenever this all unfolded. But speaking of that, this did happen just after midnight where all of this took place. It's now 9:30 in the morning. That scene's still very active there, a large law enforcement presence. Why do you think investigators take more time in an investigation like this?
There are so many casualties, and because it took place when it was dark out, it's harder to gather the evidence. So now that they have sunlight, they're able to gather the evidence, whether it's the shells from the bullets that were used, which can tell a lot, or whether it was footprints, tire tracks. There's also the possibility that there could have been cameras, public cameras that could have captured images of the vehicle that the people or person used. So there's a lot of work to do at this point, and fortunately, they're able to speak to some of the people who were there because not everybody wasn't killed. This is such a tragedy, though.
Yeah. How important do you think that eyewitness testimony is going to be as they work through their investigation?
Extremely important. First off, maybe it was somebody who had attended the party. And I don't know that this was a random act, but that will be determined by those eyewitnesses. They'll be able to tell. And that might be the clearest evidence of who did this, is the familiarity that the people at the party had with her or him. So I think that's probably what many of the officers are concentrating on, just doing it appropriately because people are in the hospital and they're fighting for their lives. But trying to figure out who these people or person is through the eyewitness testimony is vital.
All right. M. Quentin Williams sharing a little bit of his insight there as a former FBI agent on this tragic story unfolding in our community. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
And again, if you're just joining us, we continue to follow that breaking news out of Hickory, where we have learned that 12 people have been shot at a house party. Investigators say that one has died, one is in critical condition, and possibly up to 10 others with serious injuries, many of them in the hospital right now working to recover. As you take a live look at that scene has been active for hours. This all happened around midnight. It is now 9:30. That means over 9 hours of investigating, and it is not likely to wrap up soon. Want to take a turn now, and again, we will continue to follow this story on air and online. You can find the latest inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app throughout the day as those updates do come in.